Anosmia, smell training, essential oils. How does that all come together? What can we do to help people who have lost their sense of smell with essential oils? Hi, my name is Tisserand and I'm here to tell you all about it. So let's start at the beginning with what anosmia is. Anosmia means that you have lost function of your sense of smell. So you cannot detect smells around you, both pleasant or unpleasant. You basically are smell blind or nose blind, we can say. This may not sound like a huge hindrance on the first mention, like, oh well, so I can't smell things, that's not a bad thing, but we don't often realize how much our sense of smell plays into our daily lives. And I'm not just talking about enjoying pleasant smells, enjoying your food, because a large portion of our taste comes from detecting smells. How much it impacts our general enjoyment, but it also has very practical implications. For example, you cannot detect if there is a smoke in your house or in your area. You cannot detect if your food is spoiled, or if you have a baby, if the baby has a diaper that needs to be changed. All of those very practical things are now becoming way more difficult if you have lost your sense of smell. And this then leads to significantly impaired quality of life. People have reported feeling depressed because they no longer enjoy the food or the smells around them. People report also feeling socially isolated because you cannot detect your own smell. So sometimes people feel very shy to go into social situations in fear of having body odor. And so they become more isolated, or they become anxious about their hygiene, the hygiene of their kids, cleanliness of their house, and get overreaction to trying to compulsively clean themselves, their kids, because you cannot smell if things are good. You cannot do the smell test. So it actually does impact our lives fairly significantly, and if you have lost your sense of smell, you will probably attest to that. There are several reasons why people can lose our sense of smell. Generally speaking, we lose some of it as we age to a degree, but that's just diminishing. A complete loss is usually caused by something. Most commonly, it is in a respiratory infection, usually viral, unless we're talking about temporary loss of smell, which happens whenever you have inflamed sinuses and you basically just cannot breathe and cannot smell. But sometimes viruses will cause a longer-term smell loss. We've seen that with COVID-19. Anosmia was one of the primary symptoms of COVID, so much so that there is even a paper comparing people reporting not smelling scented candles, which coincided with COVID infections. And the smell loss lasted for much longer than the infection. So respiratory infection is one of the most common causes of anosmia. Other causes include exposure to toxic chemicals, exposure to chemotherapy sometimes can cause loss of sense of smell, and head trauma. And in many of these situations, we know how to at least potentially help, and that is through smell training. And this is where essential oils come to play. So just to preface this, smell training isn't effective for all types of anosmia. It tends to be most effective in anosmias that were caused by infection, and also in cases where the anosmia happened less, or the onset of anosmia is less than 12 months ago. So the sooner you start after you lost your sense of smell, the better. It's usually not very effective in smell loss caused by a traumatic injury, because sometimes that means that the nerve endings that go from our brain to our nose have been severed, and there really isn't much we can do about that. But for the cases where we can, as I said, essential oils can be very helpful. And I suspect that it's on at least two levels. First of them is just the exposure to the scent, and the second is that they can help with inflammation in the nasal cavity secondarily, which is why I would definitely recommend going with essential oils for your training and not just single odorants. But I'll get to that in a bit. So what is smell training? How did it come to be? And can anyone do it? Yes, anyone can absolutely do it. Smell training is a consistent exposure to fragrant materials, in our case essential oils. The standard protocol that is recommended is 4 different scents twice a day for 10 seconds each. So twice a day you sit down, you take your 4 scents and you smell each intentionally and intensely for at least 10 seconds. And you do that twice a day for at least 6 weeks. So consistency and endurance is key to retrain your sense of smell. The story behind smell training is quite fascinating. There is a substance that is used in pig farming. It's a hormone, and about 50% of human population cannot smell it. And 50% can. And these and the researcher in the 1980s, I believe, found out that if you are previously anosmic but you are exposed to this scent consistently, you suddenly start detecting it. He actually started detecting it himself. And then a different research team in Germany that is focused on olfaction under Professor Thomas Hummel took that idea and developed the smell training protocol through different tests, through different clinical trials where they tried different scents, different number of scents, different lengths of training and all of that. They even had some papers written on the effects of smell training on our brain, on the neural pathways in our brain, on the connections. Turns out smell training can reconnect some parts of your brain. It's really incredible and fascinating. And if you want to know more, there is an article on the Tisserand Institute website that will be linked in the notes under this video, which goes into detail of the development, also highlights some of the studies that were done. It's a really wonderful success story, I would say. So through all those different tests and research, it was established that the standard smell training protocol would be 4 scents twice a day, and the 4 scents that are in the standard protocol are rose, clove, eucalyptus, and lemon. I personally think that you can use other scents as well. It should be something that you remember from before you lost your sense of smell, possibly, so you can recall what that smell is like while you're smelling it. You can replace clove with cinnamon, you can replace rose with lavender or geranium, but just have at least 4 different scents that you smell twice a day for at least 6 weeks. It really does require a bit of endurance and patience, and it's likely that you will see some results. Can anybody do that even if you have not lost your sense of smell? Absolutely. You can do smell training. It should definitely not harm you. There's some modest evidence showing that it could be beneficial for cognitive health. It's definitely beneficial for a smell health. So, use it or you lose it. You can keep your nose sharp by doing smell training, even if you haven't lost your sense of smell. I hope that you will consider including smells in your day, generally speaking. Definitely, if you've lost your sense of smell, as I said, 4 smells: rose, lemon, eucalyptus, and clove, twice a day for 6 weeks. You can keep a diary to see how your smell feels and see the progress. I hope this was helpful. Again, there's a link to an article that goes into much more detail at the bottom of this video in the notes. And thank you so much for listening.